Well, look, the Liberal catastrophe of last Saturday night is now being matched by the rank stupidity being volunteered as to where the party should go to reclaim political ascendancy. I know the Liberal Party doesn't have a monopoly on stupidity, but there are plenty of stupid people who'll be given a voice purporting to speak for the Liberal Party. One of them, sadly, is the New South Wales Treasurer, Matt Kean. Now, I must confess, I launched Matt's campaign at the last election. He is a thoroughly decent human being. But in terms of politics and Liberal philosophy, he is completely unwired. Many say he belongs to the Greens. I note he's written an opinion piece in the journalistic home of the left, The Guardian. And according to Matt, the electorate has, quote, stopped hearing a Liberal Party speaking for its values, unquote. Matt, you're absolutely right. But you're the cheerleader who doesn't speak for Liberal values. The secure country you talk about can only come from a strong economy. Our resource export revenue last year was $351 billion, 351,000 million. I wonder where that money is going to come from under your abolition of coal and gas. And where do we then find the money for the needy, the elderly and the disabled if your policies, jumping into bed with Labor, are going to abolish the very industries that have provided our wealth? Matt Kean then says that, quote, the previous government indulged in culture wars, egged on by the right-wing commentariat, unquote. Well, it's the so-called right-wing commentariat, and I suppose I'm one of them, that has opposed the real culture war, and that is the indoctrination of our children in the classroom. The kind of stuff that Matt Kean talks about, demonising coal and gas and our national economic strength, is fed to our school children, aided and abetted by the Matt Keans. So our young do think the world is coming to an end and we're destroying the planet. Therefore, knock off fossil fuels. But Matt Kean ploughs on that women earn less than men for the same work and women retire with half the superannuation of men. Yet Matt Kean has been in the Parliament of New South Wales for over 10 years. What's he done about these issues? Diddly squat. It's easy to dish out this rhetoric, but when you've been in the Parliament for 10 years and these problems still exist, you become a living, breathing and walking example of political impotence. Then I note, and I quote, climate change risks an environmental catastrophe, unquote. I wonder, does Matt Kean, with his Bachelor of Business from the University of Technology, know more than the former chief scientist to Barack Obama, Professor Stephen Coonan, who said last year, a professional scientist, chief advisor to Barack Obama, he said last year, quote, leaders talk about existential threat, climate emergency, disaster, crisis. But in fact, when you actually read the literature, there is no support for that kind of hysteria. The science is insufficient, he said, to make useful projections about how the climate will change in coming decades, much less what effect human beings will have on it, unquote. Professor Coonan is a self-declared Democrat. Matt, you'd be one of them if you voted in America. Professor Coonan said he was, quote, increasingly dismayed by climate alarmism, unquote.